All right, we've reached our final game, which is also the debut for the Saturday night Big Ten game of the week on NBC. They're doing a Big Ten night game on NBC, and this is the first one, Saturday night. That's those damn ads with Fall Out Boy. You know, if you heard them over and over again. Here comes Saturday night, West Virginia and Penn State. You're going to hear that before this game. Penn State 20.5-point home favorites, 50.5, 51 the total. I'm on West Virginia. And I know this team's in turmoil. I know this program's in turmoil. I know their head coach, Neil Brown's on the hot seat. I know this team wasn't particularly good last year. All of that I'm fully aware of in placing this West Virginia bet. And Garrett Green now probably the likely starter taking over at the quarterback spot. You know, an offense that was not great last year, obviously, for the Mountaineers. You know, big-time question marks about the trajectory of this program here in recent years, that they're getting worse, not better. But I'm going to dare Penn State in their first game of the year to win by 3 touchdowns with James Franklin. You know, I've never been overly fond of him as a head coach. But, yeah, obviously a 5-win team last year, West Virginia. Really, really tough sledding for them. I do like what they've got, though, at running back. You know, and they've got the running back spot looks to be pretty solid coming into this season, and I think they're going to really rely on that. You know, the offensive line, I think, is going to be much better. You know, they got 5 returning starters, West Virginia, on the O-line, including an all-world center as well as Zach Frazier. That's good news coming into this season. So I think this offense can only go up, you know, just because the pieces around the quarterback, you know, I think are going to be a little bit better. You know, it's not like Penn State's without their questions, you know, coming into the season on the offensive side of the football. I was never week in, week out thrilled with the performance of Sean Clifford, but, you know, you still don't have him anymore. You've got to go to Drew Allar. You know, there's a lot of high expectations on him taking over at the quarterback spot for Penn State, but let's see how it goes in the very first game of the year. You know, Penn State should have a pretty good defense. I mean, that does worry me a little bit for West Virginia. They're going to be able to move the ball consistently enough and finish drives with points enough to stay within 3 scores in this game. But, you know, to me, there's enough questions on the offensive side of the ball. We know historically Penn State's always been a very flighty, bigger favorite, you know, laying points of this magnitude. So, yeah, am I running to bet West Virginia? No. But I think the hype on Penn State being able to challenge Michigan and Ohio State in the Big Ten is a little overblown right now. I have to see it before I believe it. Give me the dog here. Give me West Virginia to not win, maybe not be right in this game, but we don't need them to be right in this game. They're getting 20.5 points. They're getting a very sizable number, and I'm going to take those points with the Mountaineers. What do you think here, Conor?
Yeah, Sean Clifford, obviously gone. Seemed like he was there forever. Drew Allar, we'll see what this kid can do. I think it's a big watch for Penn State. Singleton's a good running back. I think they have some good pieces. The defense should be pretty good. West Virginia, on the other hand, one of the better things you mentioned with Frazier, I think, is that offensive line. It just, them on the road is kind of a stay away. They are catching 20 here, like you talked about. So I'm a little interested. And one thing, James Franklin, big games. I don't want him. Him laying almost 3 touchdowns. I don't want him. Yeah. So this is a game for me. Right now I'm off. I don't blame you for looking at the dog. And maybe Penn State blows them out because West Virginia has struggled the last few years.
Yeah, that's the biggest worry. Now, the reason why I'm kind of going to say they can do enough offensively is because, you know, the O-line is as good as it's been in a few years. They got everybody back. But as I said, and you're right about Singleton, and I neglected to mention him, Nick Singleton. I mean, he's going to be a really good running back, like probably their best one they've had since Barkley.
Yeah.
Since Saquon Barkley at Penn State. They're comparing his ceiling is that high, like Saquon Barkley type of production. But at the same point in time, you know, they were an excellent defense last year. They did lose, you know, Joey Porter Jr., Jair Brown, PJ Mustipher, a couple of key guys from that defense, but they reloaded pretty well there. And look, I'm not a fan of Manny Diaz and the job he did at Miami when he was the head coach there, but he's back in his preferred role. He's back in his comfort zone, DC, defensive coordinator. That's where he's been at his best, you know, when he's been in the defensive coordinator role. So I do get concerned that West Virginia can do it if they can do enough offensively here. But I've seen enough James Franklin. I've seen enough Penn State. Bigger game and points of this magnitude, laying them as a favorite is not something that's been a good bet long term under this head coach with Penn State. So,
and we don't have a starter, right, for West Virginia, the quarterback.
Garrett Green,
named?
probably. Garrett
yeah,
Green,
probably. Have they named him though? Yeah,
they have not, but he was
okay.
ahead of the other quarterbacks in camp last I looked in terms of the battle. So I'd expect it to be him over Nico Marchiol and Sean Boyle, who are the other quarterbacks battling for that spot. I think it'll be Garrett Green. Garrett Green does have some experience, at least if you look at his stats last year for the Mountaineers. The numbers weren't great, 55% completion, but he did get into 9 games and had 500 passing yards. So this is a guy that does have experience starting here for West Virginia. And right now, I'm assuming he's going to be the starter here on Saturday night against Penn State in Happy Valley. All right, there you go. That is hitting the books for this week.